Bro, I accidentally hit the stream button. Yeah, I accidentally hit the stream button. Um, oh, man. Oh. Bro, we got some good videos coming up, bro. I'm about to watch these UDYs, bro. Football season's coming. Um, I mean, technically it's here, but it's not here. You know what I'm saying? Like football season's here, but it's not here. It's here, but it's not officially here. You know what I'm saying? Looking forward to that. Absolutely. Mm. Now, I know y'all see a Genshin video on here. You're like, what the fuck are you doing watching the Genshin video? Hey man, bro, this channel is we do everything, bro. Alright, everything, including all games. Genshin, Overwatch, Valorant, what do you want? Fortnite, GTA, God of War, Mafia, Madden, 2K, you know what I'm saying? PGA, you know what I'm saying? Man, anything, bro. Like Assassin's Creed, like it's a good game, you know what I'm saying? It's a game we play, then I'm gonna watch it. I think this was like best claymores or like them ranking the claymores or whatever. So I might do a little series on that, like claymores and the swords, and then and then the pole arms, and then the catalyst, and the bows, of course. Let's go straight into this shit, man.
One of the first videos I ever made on Vars 2 after its big break was on the Catalyst weapon type, which at the time was widely considered the worst weapon type in the game due to Catalyst users suffering from a number of gameplay issues, including but not limited to inconsistent auto-targeting with no way to target enemies manually, the highest stamina cost for charge attacks of any weapon type by far, which I understand is a property of the character, not the weapon, but in the context of the units we had back then, it was ubiquitous, and for that reason as well, most Catalyst users were kind of mid if not downright garbage. Version 3 and onwards is around the time we started to get some good Catalyst users though. Nahida, Baitu, Wander, Neuvillette, Risley, and Shinyu. Since then, the weapon type has been doing pretty good, with most of its high-performing units ranking among the best characters in the game. So, if Catalyst is no
Very
longer
true.
the worst weapon type, which one is it? That would likely have to go to Claymores next. The Claymore weapon type was once considered the best weapon type in the game next to polearms during the initial days of Genshin, largely as a result of most players' first mains consisting of either Racer or Diluc, as well as heavy attacks being extremely convenient for overworld exploration and daily domains. Over time, however, while swords, bows, catalysts, and especially polearms have gotten tons of powerful units, Claymore users topping the meta charts are few and far between, with maybe Navia being the only big name off the top of my head. With that in mind, today we'll be checking out Claymore/Greatsword users and detailing why the weapon category is doing so poorly as of late. Now it could just be boring and say the weapon isn't the problem, it's that Hoyo enjoys giving us crappy Greatsword users, which isn't technically wrong per se. The Catalyst weapon type itself hasn't really gotten any better. It still has
Bro,
issues with
what?
auto-targeting, and charge
Did
attacks
you
still
just see
have
the
an
damage
abusive
this nigga was
stamina
hitting with
cost to them.
Daya?
The way they went about reworking
No, what?
Greatsword users and
We're
detailing why
not
the
gonna
weapon
walk over
category
that,
is
bro.
doing
Did y'all
so
not see
poorly
that,
as
bro?
of late. Now it could just be boring and say the weapon isn't the problem, it's that Hoyo enjoys giving us crappy greatsword users, which isn't technically wrong per
Nigga hitting 39K consistently with Daya, and then 71K he just crit.
se. The Catalyst weapon type itself hasn't really gotten
94. Oh
any
my
better. It
god.
still has issues with auto-targeting, and charge attacks still have an abusive
I
stamina
know he's got
cost to them.
attack
The
boost
way
and
they
shit,
went
but
about
still, like,
reworking that is by either placing zero emphasis on auto attacks like how Nahida, Yaemiko, and Baiju pretty much only use their skills and or burst, or by making custom attacks like how Risley has melee attacks, Wander being able to move around while attacking, and Neuvillette's charge attack being the biggest war crime in the game. Mechanically though, the base weapon itself is still pretty ass. Claymores initially made a good first impression for players, having a bit more range than
right.
swords and polearms, with most characters' attacks taking the form of wide swings instead of front-facing stabs. They were the best when it came to taking on clusters of enemies. On top of that, claymore attacks are considered heavy attacks, meaning they break material objects like ores and structures in the overworld much faster, while dealing increased damage to material shields and elemental ones too, although the details for elemental shields can get kind of complicated. During a time when options for taking down miniature shields or Abyss Mage bubbles were hard to come by, Claymore units saw a lot of use in the early to mid game. It also helped that relative to the pool of characters at the time, units like Diluc, Beidou, Eula, and Ito were faring decently well. At the same time, the Claymore weapon type was notorious for having some pretty lackluster members throughout history, a reputation that's only gotten worse over time. Back in the early days we had Xinyan, who many people thought was the
Oh
absolute worst
God,
character to be released. In version 3 we had
that's
Dory
she's
early on, the
terrible
most forgettable unit of all time. She thinks she's people. And then of
for
course the
real.
biggest 5-star flop, Dia. Then we had a few other subpar members like
Such a
Meng,
shame,
Sayu,
bro.
and Kave. In their defense, version 4 brought on a
Fucking
couple
hate
good
that
ones like
dad. She should
Navia
have
and
been
Gumming, but what's interesting about the
amazing.
Greatsword archetype is the overall lack of super top tiers. Without thinking about it too much, I can easily list members of other weapon types. Yelan and Fischl for blows, Neuvillette and Nahida for catalyst, Arlecchino and Xiangling, and then Xiangling again for polearms. Xiangling is so broken you have to say her twice. And then the billion sword characters we have like Alhaitham, Kasuha, Xingqiu, Furina, Bennett, Nilu, Shinobu, and so on. While it is true that performance is primarily dependent on the character's abilities, not their weapon type, said weapon type can augment or exacerbate their strength, notably in terms of what playstyle it can offer. In exchange for having more range and the property of dealing blunt force damage, greatswords are far and away the slowest weapon type as well, taking noticeably longer to transition between attacks. Additionally,
Very
they also
true.
have a unique charge attack where rather than a quick blast of damage in front of them, they instead enter a stance, following a fairly laggy animation before performing a rapid stream of attacks that continuously drains stamina. Usually the character enters one of two attack types. They spin around like a Beyblade or they incrementally step forward with each attack. This is a universal rule among Claymore users that all 15 characters have followed so far. It's here where we find the first universal weakness of Claymores. They have by far the most restrictive, normal, and charge attacks in the game, limiting the kinds of characters you can make. You can get creative with charge attacks for other units, which is one main advantage the Catalyst has, but Claymore users are all stuck with the same animations, making it difficult for you to really design a wide variety of units in this
True.
regard. It would be strange to create a support unit wielding a great sword because it makes no thematic sense for them to carry such a bulky weapon if they're playing cheerleader for the team. By contrast, being the quote-unquote mage weapon type of Genshin, the majority of Catalyst users are supports or off-field attackers, casting spells and whatnot to give power to their team
Hey,
or exert pressure on the field. It's also why bows have a lot
Eula's
of supports
good.
and outfielders too. Bows are naturally quite light. I
Really,
know the
honestly,
consistency
Eula,
begins to
bro,
fall
like
off when
you
you look
want
at
her
polearms
weapon,
and
bro.
swords,
Like
neither of which have a supportive connotation, and
I
yet they
got
have a
her.
ton of
I got
supports,
Eula
but the
on
number
both
of
accounts,
on-field
on
great
both of my
sword
accounts.
attackers in relation
But
to
on my
their
alt
off-fielders
account, I have
gives
her
a clear
weapon, and
indication that Hoyo
it helps
expects
out
this weapon
so
type to
much,
have
bro.
many
Like
attackers, which makes their
you would
restrictive
never
and frankly
believe it.
bad attack style all the more detrimental to the archetype. Throughout versions 2 and 3, the main priority was to take up as little field time as possible or to attack as quickly as possible in light of the meta being very reaction focused. For the former, in teams like Taser, there wasn't really one specific person attacking on field a bunch of times. Even though Beidou was one of the best teammates for a Taser comp, she virtually never attacked. Not just that, but in light of heavy attacks breaking any targets out of freeze, an area where on-field attacking was still of paramount importance, there weren't many teams for these characters to find success in, and what few options that did exist were inherently niche, and they also fell off extremely quickly, Geo and Visical in particular. Prior to Navia and Gaming, Ito and Eula were the best options you have for Claymore users, not a very high bar to climb. For the latter, speed and frequency are everything when it comes to reactions. One reason Kutsing, for example, has such a big boost with the advent of Quicken is because she has a ton of electro application, not just in terms of attack speed, but also a skill and burst, enabling her to get off many procs of aggravate in a short time frame. Conventional attack-wise, Shogun and Hu Tao have fairly short durations of their respective power spikes, but they can make plenty of use of them by virtue of their attacks being quite fast, which also enable them to reposition quickly without losing much time, and get off more applications of their respective elements. Claymores, on the other hand, have very long startups. Even though you can dash to cancel animation, if you need to dodge or move closer to enemies, the sheer time commitment it takes to get off your attack animations makes them feel clunky to play. The frustrating part is that, as mentioned before, Claymore users are heavily geared towards attacking despite having terrible animations for it. For example, a big pain point of Diluc prior to his second win with Xianyun is that his A1 passive is completely worthless. Charge attacks cannot activate follow-up attacks from
Yes,
units like
yes,
Xingqiu and Yelan.
yes, bro. Yes,
Terrible animations for it. For
literally.
example, a big pain point of Diluc prior to his second win with Xianyun is that his A1 passive is completely worthless. Charge attacks cannot activate follow-up attacks from units like Xingqiu and Yelan, so you
Shit
have
pissed me off.
absolutely
That's
no
the
reason to
worst.
use
Like
them, in addition to how laggy they are. Another big one is Eula. Eula's burst
not
accumulates
even
damage
using
for
his
every
charge
attack
attacks,
you land
bro.
on enemies. If you manage to land 30 attacks within 7 seconds, the damage of her Lightfall Sword can reach extraordinary levels. The challenge is actually landing that many hits. If Eula was a bow, sword, or polearm user, she could easily get 30 attacks off no problem. But because she wields a greatsword, you'd be lucky to get even 20 hits. I understand they balance the scaling around the fact that achieving 30 stacks is next to impossible, but it's still a big punch in the face to give the slowest weapon type to a character with an attack speed based activation condition. Another problem with Claymore users is a lack of flexibility most of them have. Many of them come with abilities that force you to stay on field to make the most out of them. Yule's Lightfall Sword immediately detonates upon leaving the field, so if you cast your ultimate then realize you forgot to use someone else's ultimate, you have to commit to or for their rotation without it. Others include Ito,
Very true.
Kabe, Razor, Femine, etc. They all have steroid ultimates that disappear upon swapping out. This isn't exclusive to just them, other buff type ultimates function this way too, like Shogun and Shaw, and to be fair, Diluc and Noel don't lose theirs upon switching out. But you'll notice most of the best attackers in the game are able to swap out then swap back in and restart their rotation without missing a beat. Alhaitham's burst can grant him full stacks on demand, but he can also get stacks by charge attacking. Arlecchino only needs her skill in charge attacks to fight, meaning she can get going at any time. Nivelette's burst is a core part of his kit, but with the actual DPS component, the source water drops, persisting for a while, he can use his ultimate, swap out, then swap back in, and the drops will still be there to speed up the charge of his hydro pump. Claymore users are even more dependent on attacks to get their damage off, but their attacks are just really bad. So not only do their slow attack animations make them terrible drivers for any reaction-based team, but their slow attack animations also make them terrible on-field attackers because other weapons can deal just as much damage as them but significantly faster. Ordinarily this wouldn't be a problem and claymores were scaled accordingly, but sadly they aren't. As a comparison, most claymore users have a total damage output hovering around 7 to 800% across 4 normal hits. Sword users hang around 5 to 600 across 5 hits, a fair amount less, but considering sword users attack significantly faster, their DPS is potentially a lot better while feeling better to use. Furthermore, the latter half of a character's attack rotation generally does the most damage, which means the faster you can reach those attacks, the better, since if you have to move or do anything you have to restart the rotation all over again. It's no coincidence that the best claymore users right now happen to seldom rely on normal or charge attacks as their main power. Navia is all about her skill. Though she receives a bit of Geo infusion on her normals, it's mostly there for the sake of getting crystallized, not damage. Gaming and now Diluc are both plunging attackers, which have the same exact attack speed as other plunging attacks, except Claymore plunging attacks are among the strongest in the game. I'm not trying to imply that relying on normals is a bad thing, most of the game's best characters do, but with how Claymore attacks are designed, it's a bad thing for
If I
that
had
weapon
Cloud
type
Retainer,
specifically because of how uncompromising they are.
if I had
The
Cloud
sword and
Retainer, my
polearm
Diluc
weapon
would be
types have it the
doing some
best because they're
crazy
faster than
numbers.
claymores, have the ability to attack multiple enemies compared to bows, and their charge attacks don't burn half your stamina like catalysts. They've been eating good for a while. The main draw of bows are their range. You can attack enemies from afar, which can be useful when fighting enemies that are either spread out or bosses who run around a lot. Plus, when charged up, you can get elemental damage for free. Of course, the downside is having to wait to charge up, but characters like Tignati and Yelan make up for that by drastically cutting the charge time for their respective powered up shots. With Constellations, Ganyu can also do the same thing. Not saying you should go C6 just for that, but just to mention. And as for Catalyst, Hoyo straight up gave up on the weapon type altogether and gave recent units their own attack style. As mentioned, Risley isn't even a mage, he's a melee attacker, while Nivelette was given a custom charge attack that doesn't even cost stamina. On that note, he too can accelerate the rate of charge to acquire up to 3 hydro pumps instantly, while Wanderer was given the ability to move while attacking. They need to make concessions for claymores the same way they do for bows and catalysts because right now there really aren't any. Sure, you can make greatsword users attack faster by
They're gonna
giving
do
them
that
more
with
attack speed, but
Mavuika.
1. Attack speed
Pyro
applies to
Archon.
everyone, and 2.
Oh, she's
Claymores
gonna be
benefit the
Claymore.
least
She's
from
gotta be
attack
for
speed due to
sure.
having the most hit lag, which is added as a flat value at the end of every attack. The fact that the best claymore users make use of other sources of damage like plunges or skills should be a clear sign that the current normal and charge attack style just doesn't cut it. If Hoyo wants to keep that, then what they should do is either A. Give claymore users way more damage scaling to make up for how clunky and committal it is to perform a full rotation, or B. Give everyone Ito's unique property, the one where he can move or use his skill without resetting his combo. Make it so all claymore users can retain their attack rotation. Alternatively, they need to redesign the attack animations for future claymore users. Whatever form that takes is better than the form we have now. I think one way they can do it is by giving new animations while empowered. Hutal loses the initial windup of her charge attack and immediately dashes during her skill buff. Ito gains a custom charge attack when using his Kesegiri Slash, attacking much faster than your typical charge attacks. Honestly, if every claymore user was designed like Ito, they would feel much better to play. The only reason people don't play Ito is because he's Geo and Geo's ass. They were getting somewhere with Dia's ultimate being a custom attack animation, but it still had the same issues of being too committal, too long, and just poorly thought out. All in all, Hoyo needs to throw claymore users a bone. It's clear they're adamant about making most of them main attackers, but if they want to do that, they have to give them more damage, better animations, and more quality of life. I like that version 4 tried out some new options like how Navia makes use of her skill for damage or how Gaming's a plunging attacker, but aside from those two, the claymore weapon type as a whole feels too restrictive to play. In the past, they stood out for offering more power, range, and having a more attack-oriented playstyle, but the other weapon types are gaining more traction in those departments. Polearm users got Arlecchino, who practically never gasses out. Sword users got Alhaitham and Clorant, who can practically fight for days. Nivelette is him. Meanwhile, you have reaction-based teams like Nilu who can sustain permanent bountiful cores, Nahida with more dendro application than you know what to do with. Everything has evolved, units can do more stuff now. Claymore users feel like they haven't changed whatsoever, like they're still being balanced by version 1 standards. It doesn't help that most of the ones we got were really disappointing, like Dia, Kave, Remine, and Dori. So while Gaming and Navia are a start, we need some more love for the category. Now, there is hope.
Facts.
Just a theory, but hear me out. I actually haven't checked the leaks on this, so if there are leaks, then I don't know about them. Venti is a bow user, Zhongli and Shogun are polearm users, Nahida is a catalyst user, and Farina is a sword user. Thematically, their respective choice of weapons makes sense. It was pretty obvious Nahida wasn't going to use a physical weapon, or Venti carrying a greatsword doesn't really fit his character. But on top of us having yet to see a Claymore Archon, of the 6
Tell you, bro,
Archons you
she's
know
gonna be
so
a
far,
Claymore
and when
character,
you take
bro.
her whole biker suit outfit and stuff into consideration, Mavuika looks like she carries a big stick, or a big sword in this case. And you know for a fact, there's no way they'll make an Archon suck after the whole Zhongli incident. That being said, more than one would be nice. The other 4 weapon types have multiple great characters, 4 and 5 stars
Come on,
alike.
man.
But
Like,
assuming Mavuika is a Claymore user, having her repping the weapon category will do wonders. That about sums up my complaints on Claymores.
nah, that
Player needs to
trailer
give
was
them more
crazy.
variety in attack styles,
That
and they need to stop
that
giving us
trailer was
bad ones.
crazy,
But what do you
bro.
guys think about the Claymore weapon type? Do you think there's anything I forgot to miss? You're welcome to share in the comments. For now, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @VarsFarum, join my Discord server, and check out my other Genshin discussions if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Hey, man. Great video, bro. Bro, like, bro. I like, man. I can't wait for her to come out, bro. Cannot wait for my week to come out. I don't even know if I want to get riding, bro. Like, I want to get riding, but like, oh man. Well, no, she comes out. She comes out next banner. Actually, I'll be able to get her and still get my week without having to like go crazy on like spend money on like fates and shit. Actually, because I'll be able to build most of my stuff up. Cause I'm already rebuilding my pity back now for riding. So and then the earlier I get her, the better. But the thing is, I would really like her weapon though. I don't. I really don't want to do that fishing shit for the catch. Although it's a really good 4-star weapon, I would much rather prefer I get her weapon too. But we gonna see though. We gonna see though, cause it's gonna be. It's not gonna be easy to get her. It's not gonna be easy to get her at all. So we gonna see. At her weapon at least. I'm just gonna. Everybody knows you just wish on the opposite weapon. You just wish on the weapon you don't want. That way you get the weapon you do want. Now, on the rare instance that you do get the weapon that you didn't want, uh, damn. But I, we gonna try, bro. We gonna try. That's all I can say, bro. We gonna do it on stream, bro, and we gonna try. We gonna see what happens, man. 'Cause you never know. And I gotta count on winning this next 50-50. If I lose this next 50-50, I'm just not gonna have Raiden on this account. I mean, I already have her well built on my alt account, but like I got her weapon and everything, but I want her on this account. So, because I don't really play on that account. So, hopefully I can get her on this account. Hopefully I don't fail my bro. I hope I don't fail my 50-50 for what's her name? My Wika, bro. I'm gonna really be upset, bro. I gotta make sure I have some money saved up just for her, bro. Literally, bro, just for her, bro. But man, I'm gonna get off this, man. Get this uploaded for y'all. I'm just gonna like start trying to. I'm gonna start uploading just more consistently, like the shorts and everything. They're gonna be coming back and everything. I've been slacking. I had to take a little break, man. I just got busy with work and I just needed a break, man. And you know, but even if I get busy at work, I'm still gonna upload. Even if I don't stream, then I'm gonna upload. So I'm picking a scab right now. That's why I keep looking at my knee. I'm picking a scab. But yeah, just gonna start being consistent again. Um, you know, 'cause that's what you got to do. Anything in life, you just something you really want to do. You got to stay consistent with it. Especially if you building it yourself. From the ground up. It's gonna take time. You know, so just gotta stay consistent, man. But man, this scab hurts. Yeah, I'm gonna get off this, upload this for y'all. And then until next time, tomorrow, most likely, I'll see y'all.
I'm a hero, but spread I don't wear no cape.